A murderer was captured after Google Maps shows him transporting the dead body. A stroke left a UK woman with an Italian accent. And a passenger is being blasted for bringing the emotional support Great Dane on the airplane. These are the weird stories for Monday on Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast hosted by a comedian inside a closet. Let's go. A killer was captured by Google Maps while moving the dismembered body. This took place in a village in northern Spain. It says a picture is worth 1,000 words. A red car and a man bent over, putting a large white bag in the trunk. It's the image from Google Maps Street View application that helped police officers solve a murder in Soria in northern central Spain, which they had started investigating more than a year ago. Well, turns out Google is a narc, guys. I knew it all along. Can't trust Google. Google will narc on you, whereas MapQuest would never rat it out anybody. You can trust MapQuest. Jokes, guys. I don't condone murdering. But if you're going to murder someone and then you're going to bring the body somewhere, maybe don't do it during the daytime. I don't know. That just seems like murder 101. You drop off the body in the evening, right? In the night, in the dead of night, as they say, preferably in a heavily wooded area, although I'm not impartial to using the desert either. I've never dumped a body. I'm just saying, I don't even condone it, but if you're going to do it, it's just not a daytime activity. Unless you're like a character from the movie Fargo, some sort of bumbling fool. The article says the image, inadvertently captured by a Google Maps camera truck, features the man placing a white sack into the truck of a Red Rover car in Calle del Norte in Tajueco, Spain. I don't think I got any of that right. Maybe the Norte part. But Nortes, that's a layup. Most people can get that word. I looked at the images, by the way. There's more than one. First of all, there's an image of the guy putting a white sack into a trunk. There's also another image I saw of him pushing a wheelbarrow down that same cobblestone road towards the car. So, guy pushed a wheelbarrow. It's plain daylight. Again, so foolish. The image ended up being linked to the case of a 33-year-old Cuban man identified only by his initials, JLPO. His body was found dismembered after he traveled to Spain in November of 2023 looking for his wife. He was reported missing by a relative shortly after traveling. So sad. The guy goes looking for his wife, ends up in the trunk of a dumb criminal. Some of his remains were found in a cemetery, it says, about 6 miles away from the town of Tajueco. However, law enforcement revealed that parts of his body are still missing. Now, investigators believe that this man was killed due to his involvement in a love triangle. When he arrived in Spain's Soria province, it is believed that he discovered his wife was having an affair with 48-year-old Manuel Isla Gallardo. No, not Manuel Isla Gallardo. How could you? Manuel Isla Gallardo was her neighbor, and he owns a bar nearby in Bayubas de Arriba. I'm getting better at these words as the article goes along, as you can see. All right, time to inject an opinion and a suggestion, because I want to help you live your life better. I want you to stay alive, so don't get involved in love triangles in countries where the love is fierce, where people will murder you over love. You know the types of places. Italy, Spain, Latin nations, they stab each other over love often. Murder over love. So if you're going to get involved in a love triangle, do it in a more, laid-back love-style country. Like, the U.S., I'd imagine, maybe Germany. Definitely avoid Mexico and El Salvador, and I'd probably throw the Dominican Republic in there as well. Yeah, you sleep with a El Salvadorian's wife, you're going to end up in a trunk, bro. That's just how it's going to be. All right, back to the details of the story. Investigators arrived at a major breakthrough when they were Googling. Investigators don't want to really leave the police station to solve crimes anymore, so they're asking people to help out on Facebook, and apparently they're just sitting around Googling, hoping to, hey, what if I just Google? Let's see what happens. I don't know. Maybe the one time the Google truck drove through there. That in itself, considering how frequently those Google Map vehicles drive around, That's some bad luck. Imagine like you're stuffing the body in the trunk and you see that Google car with all those cameras just come around the corner. The jig is up, man. Sometimes they blur out the images though, so maybe this guy was thinking, well, maybe the image will be blurry. They won't even. It'll look like groceries putting in the trunk. I'll just say it was the groceries. Okay, so it says here, while the image of the man in the Google Maps Street View isn't clear enough to be identified, they believe it depicts Gallardo loading JLPO's body in a white trash bag into the trunk of the car. Gallardo and JLPO's wife have been arrested for their involvement in the crime. Yeah, she. And I would have got away with it, too, if it wasn't for you meddling Google Street Map vehicles. A stroke left a UK woman with an Italian accent. Mamma mia, strokes are so crazy. We have a woman named Althea Bryden. She was found in her bed unresponsive in May and with her face visibly drooping on the right side. Clear indication of a stroke. The 58-year-old from Highbury, North London, was rushed to the hospital and found to have had a stroke that left her unable to speak or feel the upper right side of her body. The doctors quickly identified a carotid web in her neck, a rare shelf-like structure that can interrupt blood flow to the brain. This was the cause of the stroke, and in August they performed surgery to remove that. The following day, while recovering in intensive care, this woman says, a nurse woke her to take her blood pressure, and completely out of the blue, I just started speaking. The nurse looked as shocked as I was. The nurse rushed to get colleagues around my bed. No one could believe that I was talking after so long. Okay, well, they should have put that. Oh, yeah, it did say it left her unable to speak. But then she was talking when she woke up. However, the medical staff noticed something strange about her voice. And this is where it gets very, very weird. Here's a quote from the woman. Well, they asked me if I had an Italian accent before me stroke. Oh, I'm sorry. She doesn't speak like that anymore. They asked me if I had an Italian accent before my stroke and were telling me I had a very strong Italian accent. I was so confused. Well, imagine that. She's speaking with a UK accent before the stroke, after the stroke, an Italian accent. Who knew that this was possible? Then again, we don't really understand the brain so much. There's so many connections. So many synapses. That's a word I heard a neurologist say, so I'm just going to say it. Seems appropriate. You know, anything can happen after a stroke. You can imagine parts of the brain go dead. Other places maybe come alive. Maybe there's a department in the brain for accents, and then, that got twisted somehow or tweaked in a way. You could probably blame anything on a stroke once you've had one, right, afterward. Be like you get a parking ticket and you tell the police, hey, come on, man, I had a stroke that doesn't allow me to see parking signs, so it's not my fault. I'm a victim of my stroke. Maybe you're touching butts now, and you never used to touch butts before. You touch a button at the grocery store, and they're like, hey, you touched my butt. And you're like, oh, so sorry, I had a stroke, and now I'm a butt man. I used to be a boob man, but now I'm a butt man post-stroke. All right, anyways, back to the lady in the UK who used to talk like this. Right, did you fetch me torch? And now talks like, I'm having a stroke. This lady's grandmother, she's a medically retired customer service advisor, says she's never spoken Italian before. She's never even been to Italy. But she now has gained this distinct Italian accent. She claims she even uses words and mannerisms such as Mamma mia, bambino, and si in conversation without even realizing it. Imagine that. Oh, boy. She also says she's been making offers to people that they can't refuse. I'm just kidding. I just thought that would be funny. Here's another quote from her. Before, I didn't sound like the Queen, but I sounded British. I've always lived in London. So, naturally, this is all new to me. She's waiting for a formal diagnosis, but says her speech and language therapist suggests she has foreign accent syndrome. Oh, my goodness. This is terrible. There's a link here to foreign accent syndrome. It says some patients who suffer brain injuries occasionally lose the ability to talk in their native accents. But now scientists may know why. The condition called foreign accent syndrome affects only a tiny number of patients. It can mean that a native English speaker can end up sounding more like Spanish or French. It can follow a stroke or another kind of head injury, and while the problem often clears up on its own, it can be another highly upsetting blow for patients often struggling with other disabilities. Thankfully, researchers at Oxford University have found that patients with foreign accent syndrome seem to share certain characteristics which might explain the problem. A small number of them apparently all have tiny areas of damage in various parts of the brain. Helpful. I mean, if you have a stroke, you're going to have tiny areas of damage in various parts of the brain. Can we get more detail here? Did you locate the foreign accent area in the brain? We got another quote from our lady here with the Italian accent, who formerly had a UK accent, who's now very confused. She says, doctors and nurses saw me as a bit of a medical marvel at that time. None of the nurses, doctors, therapists, or surgeons had dealt with foreign accent syndrome in their entire careers. This is when I realized just how rare this condition is. I wish more people knew about it. Well, good news, Althea. Your story's now on Weird AF News, and now upwards of 87 people now have become familiar with foreign accent syndrome. So we're getting the word out there as best we can. And let's just hope for a swift recovery for Althea and her accent. The doctors do say that it can go away, although maybe she's having a little fun with it. Maybe she's like, I'm making the pizza. I'm making the pizza. Hey, what's wrong with you? What do you mean? I'm making the pizza. Well, she's making pizza all day long. But I only use my good hand, eh? The Italian accent, though, I mean, of all the accents you could pick up, it's not the worst. German's horrible. You don't want to be talking like a German. It's just, I mean, I know I have some German listeners, and I love you guys and your support, but your accent is just so unfriendly. It always sounds like you're shouting. Pass the salt! You're like, why are you screaming at me? I am not screaming at you. I am just German. What would be the coolest accent that you could get from foreign accent syndrome? Jamaican? Jamaican would be dope. If you woke up with a Jamaican accent all of a sudden. Not forever, just, a couple of months. Take it for a spin. You go from oh, bro, I'm from San Diego. And then you stroke it up and you're like, Irie man, Yaguan, Bumbaclat. Now, I, for one, can relate to what Althea is going through because I oftentimes will slip into an Italian accent at an Italian restaurant after 2 carafes of red wine when I'm ordering the dessert. I'm like, tiramisu for the table, eh? Tiramisu, eh? Hey, what do you... Hey, oh, you want a cannoli? Hey, oh, you want a cannoli? Hey, how about a round of cannolis, too, huh? And bring over the espresso.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Hey, Todd, Daddy, how you doing?
A passenger angered fellow flyers when he brought his gigantic emotional support Great Dane onto the flight. A man brought his Great Dane on a recent flight and has been slammed online by fellow travelers and other people. Many individuals arguing that this pet causes emotional distress. It causes emotional distress. It could cause emotional distress if I was on a flight and the guy next to me rolled up with a Great Dane. I might be worried that the dog might poop eventually. And I don't know if you've ever been on a flight when something is pooped, but yeah, there's not a lot of air circulation on those things. So, I mean, there's other concerns. Great Dane's a very large, imposing creature. But let's keep reading and find out what his reasons. Maybe he had a good reason to bring the Great Dane on the flight. I don't know. You would expect someone to leave the Great Dane at home if you're going to travel. It's hard to travel with a Great Dane. I mean, people that travel with the little dogs, I see that's very common. They're easy. You can shove them under the seat sometimes. They're easy travel, companions. A Great Dane, on the other hand, I mean, do hotels even let you bring a Great Dane in? Yeah. I got a lot of questions here. I'm sure you do as well. Let's learn a little bit about this incident. Earlier this week, content creator and life coach Rob. Oh, he's a life coach. Yeah, I'm already going to say no, bro. No. Life coaches. Get out of here with your life coach. You ever met a life coach where their life wasn't in shambles? I haven't yet. Everybody that's a life coach, don't want to work a regular job is what it is. They failed in their career and they're like, well, what happens if I just coach people. I'll just tell people what they should do, things that I couldn't do, because I'm too lazy. Okay, so life coach Rob shared an Instagram video of a passenger walking onto the aircraft with the Great Dane. Oh, my bad. The life coach took the video. Here I am inveighing against life coaches here, and it wasn't even the life coach's dog. I still stand strong on life coaches. I'm so sorry. Okay, so Coach Rob captured video of the guy bringing the dog on. These dogs, the Great Danes, you know what they are. It's the Scooby-Doo of dogs. They weigh between 120 and 175 pounds typically. In the footage, which is now received over 5 million views on Instagram, a female flight attendant at the door could be heard greeting the dog owner. "Hey, welcome aboard," she says enthusiastically before the Great Dane proceeded to step on her foot. "Ow," she exclaimed. All right, I'm giving you the play-by-play. She says, "Ow, ooh, ow." She didn't say, "Hey, get the hell out of here with your 180-pound dog, stupid." No, she didn't say that. The airline worker exclaimed, "Ow," and the man quickly apologized. Rob then wrote a caption on the clip asking, are we taking this support animal thing too far? And many people weighed in on that, offering similar opinions on bringing emotional support dogs of that size on small planes. Some commenters agreed the pet would cause more problems than it would actually solve. Here's a quote from one person. "Emotional support for one person, emotional distress for hundreds. This is ridiculous." Another person said, "I'm a dog lover, but this is getting absolutely ridiculous. I am all for trained service animals. This is not one of them." A canine owner wrote, "As a person who had a Great Dane and viewing this one's classic body language, this is not an assisted therapy animal." Well, yeah, I mean, what is the dog's purpose here? Is it an emotional support dog or is it a service animal? I've never seen a service animal Great Dane. It wouldn't seem to me like they would be very good service animals considering, well, those giant species don't live as long, first of all. So you're going to train it however many years it takes to train a service animal, and then it doesn't have a lot, its lifespan is short. Or is it just emotional support? Again, I've never seen an emotional support Great Dane either, but, I had never heard of emotional support tiny horses, and that's a thing. Apparently, small horses are good for that. I don't know. They make me calm. Yeah, I mean, the whole emotional support thing is, I don't want to make fun of it entirely. I'm sure some people are getting some real results from it. I think a lot of people are just trying to bring their pets everywhere is what I think is going on. And this is a loophole. I know people who live in apartment buildings where if you claim that, or you actually register this, which I think is pretty easy to do online, you register your dog as an emotional support, then the landlord can't charge you the pet fee, the monthly pet fee to stay in the apartment. So people are using it for nefarious actions like that. I'm not saying this guy did that with the Great Dane, but there's a lot of that going on, and it's just muddying the waters on this issue, I think. And then there's just the whole idea of, like, I don't know, I'm from a suburb of Boston, so we don't even believe in therapy where I'm from. Like, therapy's a joke. Like, so an emotional support animal, I mean, it's just like where I'm from, we just go, hey, get it together, all right? You're not special. First of all of us are a little on edge on flights, a little anxious, a little uncomfortable. No one's enjoying flights. Is that a news flash for people in the world? You're not special because you're uncomfortable on the flight. I'm uncomfortable on a flight too. This is not an enjoyable experience for me either. But I don't stand out and say, well, I'm special because it's an unenjoyable experience for me. And I need something around me all the time to feel okay. I just take my Xanax, order a shot of whiskey like a normal person, go to sleep for the whole flight. I don't got to cuddle a penguin. It's so silly to me. You're not special if you're uncomfortable on a flight is what I'm saying. I'm uncomfortable in line to get on the flight. I'm uncomfortable at the airport. I hate these places. We all do. What do you think? You're someone, anomaly? Oh, no, but when I fly, it's really uncomfortable. I'm not. Yeah, we're all like that. I don't know how these airlines get this together, but they're going to have to find some sort of solution for this. If you have an emotional support animal, there should be a list, right? Like, of acceptable emotional support animals. Things that are clearly helping. It shouldn't look like you're just trying to sneak your pet onto a plane. You know what I mean? Otherwise, what's to stop people from bringing whatever on there? Yeah, this is my emotional support Wolverine. I know it's not very soft or cuddly or even very friendly. Oops, did she maul you, Rebecca? Well, on the bright side, it looks like somebody's getting economy all to themselves today.
Time to move? Skip the hassles of selling during the holiday season and sell your home directly to Opendoor. Request an all-cash offer in minutes, close, and get paid in days. You can even pick your close date so you can move after New Year's. Start your move at Opendoor.com or download the Opendoor app. Opendoor is represented by Opendoor Brokerage Inc., license 02061130 in California, and Opendoor Brokerage LLC in its other markets. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, my friends and loyal listeners of the Weird AF News podcast. Thank you for spending an afternoon with me. Morning, evening, whatever time it is that you're drinking in the Weird AF News podcast. I recommend it with heaping cups of coffee. That's a good way to do it. I want to give thanks and praise. People sent me stuff. I got something a couple things in the mail. Kirsty Kelly's mailed me a lovely Christmas gift of chutney. And it looks like it's from Paris. I think it's chutney from Paris, which means I'm going to be living it up this holiday season. Thanks to Kirsty Kelly, longtime fan and listener of the show, big-time supporter. You might have heard Kirsty. She leaves messages for me. She has a very thick accent. And it's not foreign accent syndrome. That's her real amazing accent. So shout out to Kirsty. Happy holidays. In addition, somebody mailed me an amazing T-shirt that says, "Call me Pod Daddy" on the front, and on the back, the Weird AF News logo, which is just amazing. I have a feeling I know who this is, but I'm going to wait until I email this individual and ask them. But there was no name on it, but it's I'm going to wear that tonight, as a matter of fact. It's just an amazing shirt. Also, I had someone buy me some coffees. It's Joe. Joe bought me a coffee. Joe from Toledo, Ohio. Joe's mother, Deb, hired me to do a cameo for Joe to celebrate that he had just purchased a home, and they're going to be celebrating Christmas there. And Joe's a big fan of the podcast and turned her onto Weird AF News. And then Joe, after I did the cameo, then went and bought me coffees because I do very good cameos. They're long, too, so they're worth it. If you want to hire me to do a cameo, just go to cameo.com/Funny Jones. Is it Funny Jones? Funny Jones. There's a link in the description of this podcast. Okay, so Joe wrote, "You're killing it, Pod Daddy. Thank you for the cameo that my mama, Deb, got for me. I got to see the closet. Like other listeners, I discovered Weird AF News from my Google News brief selections way back in 2021. I recently was advised by my therapist to stop listening to the news when I wake up. The world is so depressing these days, but Weird AF News is the only news podcast I still listen to. I switched to listening on YouTube, but I still play your show every day while I drive to work. You never fail to make me laugh. Even bad days are a little better with Jonesy singing The Sound of Science and many other hilarious covers and parodies. You reawakened my love for Beastie Boys, by the way, and had me screaming out, 'Oh, Lord, yeah,' via Black Sabbath recently. You got a great worldview, Jonesy. I hope you get all the success you deserve. If you ever toured the Midwest, you got a place to stay whenever you're in Toledo." That's great. So shout out to Joe and Deb. Just fabulous people, fans of the show. And they're going to be spending the holidays in Joe's new home, so congrats. I got, what else? Oh, I'm going to play a couple phone calls after this, one being from Michael from Iowa City. So I hope you enjoy the phone calls. You can always call the show 646-450-2012. My email is funnyjones@gmail.com, and I'm on Instagram @funnyjones. If you want to support the podcast, as you know, Michael from Iowa City is going to match all the donations that are made via Patreon. Anyone who joins Patreon or anyone who buys me coffees or makes a PayPal donation, anything like that. All that can be done on my website, weirdafnews.com. Okay, this is getting too long. I'm going to play the calls. Bye-bye.
Oh, the people in Florida are frightful, but Jonesy is always delightful. Since Florida is no place to go, listen to the Florida Friday Show. Merry Christmas, everybody. Hello there, fellow weirdos. This is Michael calling from Iowa City. with a message about Jonesy, the godfather of podcasts. I guess that makes him the goddaddy of all pod daddies. So, this is the time of year, starting at Thanksgiving, for the Thanks for Giving campaign for Jonesy, for all of the weirdos to show their appreciation for Jonesy and the podcast and all that he does for us all year long. But at this time of year, between Thanksgiving and New Year's, we get to show our appreciation for him by financially supporting him for bringing us such laughter, love, and joy throughout the year. So if you're so inclined, you can contribute to Jonesy by buying him a cup of coffee. You can do that at weirdafnews.com. While you're at that website, you could also make a PayPal donation, or you could join the Patreon and support him all year long on Patreon. You could also make arrangements to have Jonesy make a cameo video for you, and if you do that, he'll send a message to someone that you direct him to do as such, maybe a message to a loved one, or also a message to maybe that you don't care so much about. For example, tell your boss to take this job and shove it. So anyway, however you choose to show your appreciation for Jonesy, whether it be contacting him through his Instagram and getting his address to send him a Christmas gift, or sending him financial support, please consider doing that at this time of year, the spirit of giving for Thanksgiving and the Christmas holidays. Whether you're celebrating Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, please remember Jonesy at this time of year and show your love and support for him. Remember, for any sort of contact or contribution to him, I will donate $1 for each of those methods of support that you show for Jonesy. So, thank you for considering those methods and donating to Jonesy. Happy holidays to everyone out there, and good luck with your life, man. Thanks, Pod Daddy, for bringing me such happiness through all the years.